Good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Keys to Your Best Life. I am your host, Maggie Cavanaugh, and I have an amazing guest today. You definitely want to get this out to your friends, family, co-workers, because everyone needs to know how to be a great parent. Welcome, Celia. I am so grateful to have you on the show today. How are
Thanks,
you?
Maggie? I'm great. Thank you for having me. Super grateful for that too.
Oh my goodness. I'm this lady. Okay. Her and I have known each other for quite a while, and she is an expert in the field of parenting. And so many times I tell her, I wish I had you raising my boys, but I definitely pick up great tips for my grandkids, because listen, whether you're a parent, or whether you're a grandparent, or whether you're an aunt, and uncle, whatever, you need to know how to communicate effectively with the little ones to empower them. And that's what she is. She is a family empowerment coach. And I don't know about y'all, but families don't come with instructions. We have some scriptures that give us a baseline, but we really need some coaching in that area. So she is a pioneer also in children's fitness and programming, a child behavior expert, and she has been working in this industry since 1987, and personally with her family since 1982. So not only does she have the head knowledge, she's got the years of experiential knowledge to share. She is the mom of 5 children. She gave birth to 3 and she gained 2 through marriage. She's a GMA to 8 and soon to be 9. And she's had 37 years of real life experiences in all aspects of parenting, through separation and divorce, step parenting, drug and alcohol abuse, jail, empty nesting, parenting. Listen, there's nothing that is a shock to Celia. So she is an amazing author. She has a great book that we're going to talk a little bit about in a little while, called Taming the Toddler. Now, how many of y'all know some people that have some toddlers that need to be tamed? I'm just saying. There it is. Look, she's holding it up for you. It's humongous. Look at that. It is basically the ultimate parenting manual. Now, I think that everyone should get one of these. I mean, I know years ago there was the baby book that a lot of people gave out. This is a book that every parent needs to have. In addition to that, she is also the host of Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. You may have seen me share it. If you have not, you need to go like, love, comment on all of her broadcasts. Make it part of your personal development as a parent, as an individual, a human being. Also, she is a musical artist with Jiggles and Giggles by FunFit. I didn't even know about that until recently. I think that is so incredibly cool. But she has passion for family. She's internationally recognized as an expert in parenting and childhood obesity, which is a huge problem here in the U.S. She's been featured on Fox News in DC, CBS affiliate, WUSA DC, and published in articles of the Associated Press, with the Washington Post, the Baltimore Sun, and more. Her social media outlet, she's on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. You can find her everywhere. Her degree is in human ecology. She's got a BS, also certified nutrition, sleep and brain coach, personal training kids, weight loss management, child yoga, and laughter yoga. Whoa! Somebody say, whoa, I should have added on time for the broadcast just to cover. And this is just some of it, okay? Just some of it. So I am going to list her websites in the comments in a little while after the broadcast. We will answer all questions after the broadcast. And I want you to share this because so many people need these tips. So, Celia, that's a pretty impressive bio.
Thank you, Maggie. Yeah, it shows how old I am.
No, but you are young.
Years to grow that, to get certified, and all my, schooling and online courses and things. So, with age comes wisdom, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. So when did you first feel the call to do what you're doing now?
So I will say from early on when I was little, I always wanted to be a teacher. I remember when my little brother was young, he was 2, I was 8. I used to teach him math. Now, my little brother is a genius and I am still not so great at math, but he got it at 2 years old. And in 2nd grade, I remember teaching kids how to draw because I love art. And so I've always wanted to be a teacher, always. That has always been my desire. And kids have always been my world. I just love kids. I feel like I am like an old 5-year-old. I don't think whatever gene it is that you get that makes you grow up, I didn't get that gene. So, it's like I have a kids fitness company that I've had for 33 years, FunFit, and people have always asked me over the years, how do you know what kids love? And I'm always like, well, if I love it, I'm pretty sure a kid's going to love it. So I just have this innate ability to know children, know what they love. And I just have a strong, strong passion and desire to help kids live their best life. And I tell people, I said, the reason you want to be an intentional parent is because you're raising adults, not children. People always say we're raising children. Well, they're already children. Your job as a parent is to raise a confident, self-efficient, contributing, happy, fun adult. That is your job, and what you do in especially the first 5 formative years when they're toddlers is the seeds that you will be nurturing all the way and that they will have in their head. So what you say, what you do is what becomes the voices in their head. And as we all know who are dealing with voices in our head for all the years of our life, those voices are not always good. Right. So you got to be intentional about making it good. And going through FunFit and the decades of teaching, I really noticed parenting trends changing. Like I can tell you the parents of 30 years ago to the parents of 10 years ago, night and day. And I always got asked for advice because, of course, if you teach a class with parents and children, like I've been doing for so long, and I'm a parent myself, people ask you advice. And I decided, I guess it was about 5 years ago, I need to do this, professionally and focus on this to help children and to help. The only way to help children is help their parents. So I created Pumped Up Parenting, and the rest, as they say, is history.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And Pumped Up Parenting is, listen, she said it right there, is so important that we understand. We have a limited amount of time with the kids. We do. And we can either pour into them positive or we can pour into them negative. I would like to say in my early years, whenever I had children, that those formative years were more of a positive experience, but I was a broken woman. So it was, really challenging to try to rework back and trying to overcome those obstacles. However, I didn't have the resources. You all are getting the resources today because we're going to talk about something super important. We're going to talk about the 5 C's of parenting, right? Is that right, Celia?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, wow. So listen, y'all grab a notebook, pull up your phone, pull up your notes on your iPhone or wherever it is you keep your important data, because this is something you really want to consider. God gives us our kids to nurture them and prepare them to become future adults, like she said, and to impact the world around us. And so every opportunity is a teaching opportunity. We just took our granddaughter, one of our pretty much youngest granddaughter, with us on a plane. And the entire time I was educating her. I was explaining the format of how an airport is laid out, the differences between terminals, what gates are, why they're important, how you've got to navigate, all about security, all about being aware. We had her, peepaw in, me, and then peepaw in her to protect her. And then how when she became an adult, how she was going to be responsible for experiencing what is going on around her and being aware. We took every minute of that trip to pour into her and be intentional to utilize that experience to be a positive one, but also so she'll have memories years to come when she's an adult. And that's what happens when the simplest things, to taking your kids to t-ball practice, to getting them to eat their vegetables. So Celia, I would like for you to take some time this morning and talk to them about these 5 C's of parenting.
Okay. And let me just say, Maggie, that is a wonderful story because parents need to realize that every moment in a child's life is a teaching moment. These children, let me tell you this initial point of information that all parents need to remember is that the human brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25 years old. Yes. So if you're a parent and you're not 25, you don't have a fully developed brain. So
Right.
imagine what your kids' brains are at 3, at 13, at 16.
Yes.
They're not developed. Your job is to develop them. They're full of emotion, as we know, but they have no understanding of how to control that emotion, and they learn from you, and they're curious about everything. And
Yes.
if you don't take the opportunity to teach them all that there is that they're experiencing, you're missing the point. You
Right.
are the teacher, you are the coach, you are the mentor. You don't want to do for them. They have to learn, they have to become independent, they have to be self-sufficient. But every moment, wherever you go, is a teaching moment. And I just love that you did all of that explanation about what's in an airport and how airports operate. That's, other than the joy of, yay, I get to fly on an airplane,
Right.
really went deeper. And I love that, Maggie. I love you. I love that. So
Thank you.
the 5 C's of parenting, in my eyes, are the 5 keys, let's say keys,
Yes.
podcast, the 5 keys that you need to include in your life in order to become an intentional, proactive parent. Because we don't want to parent reactively.
Right.
We don't want to just go by the seat of our pants and scream at our kids all the time and, just like be one big emotion like your children are. They're that way because they're wired that way. We are not wired that way anymore. So you want to really take these keys to heart so that you're a proactive parent. You
Yes.
think before you react, and you eventually teach your kids to think before they react.
It's good.
So I'll list the 5 keys real quick, and then we can dive into one briefly. We're not here all day, obviously. So we have calm, we have consistency, we have consequence, communication, and culture. So those are the 5 C's that form a well-rounded family. These 5 things need to be a part of your family. So calm, I am like the messenger of calm. That's like my job is to bring calm to the world. Because if you're calm, you teach your kids to be calm. Calm breeds calm. Chaos breeds chaos.
Right.
In this time of, that we're living in, there's a lot of chaos going on. And if we don't learn how to calm it down in our own families, in our own household, the kids will feel 3 times the chaos you're feeling.
Yes.
So calm is important. You need to give yourself a break. If you feel like you're going to react to something, go take a break. Give yourself a timeout. Think about it. 3 minutes. How am I going to react to this? Am I just going to go in there and blow up and cause more chaos? Or am I going to think about what's going on? And maybe I don't have to interfere at all. Maybe by that time, your children will have solved it themselves. Yay to learning how to resolve their own conflicts. So calm is so important. That's why I name it number 1, because you as a parent need to be calm.
Wow. That's so good. It is important because, we have got to get to the point where we understand, we've had years to gather, inner healing and coping mechanisms and things to handle life. And so when we react instead of responding, we are teaching them how to handle crisis. So that's so good. So good, Celia. Didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to add a little feedback. Love that. Love that.
Exactly. So every way you respond teaches them how to respond to the situation. Remember, you are their strongest role model.
Yes.
And you could talk till you're blue in the face, but depending on what you do, the actions you actually are doing in front of them, or even in listening distance, that's what they're doing. They are doing what you do, not necessarily what you say.
Yes, and if they're not in that setting of experiencing calm or experiencing relax, it's going to affect not only their emotional health, but their physical health, because their body is going to respond and it puts it under more trauma. And then we wonder why we're at the pediatricians all the time when the kid is stressed out because they're living in a world of chaos. So that's so good. So good. I love that. So y'all got that? One.
It's been proven. Stress makes you sick. So everybody needs to lower that stress level. We got enough of it going on right now. We really need to take control.
Yes.
So this second key, the second C, should be in all of your parenting. You want results, you need to be consistent. Consistency in everything. You want to break a habit, you need to be consistent. You want your kids to go sleep in their own bed, you need to be consistent. You want to teach your child to get potty trained, you need to be consistent. You want your child to complete their homework and their school assignments, you need to be consistent. Consistency is key in everything you do as a parent. And things will not work, consequences will not work if you are not consistent.
Celia, that's a very important point. I see this all the time. People are saying, I'm like, you got to let your yes be yes and your no be no, because you are sending the wrong signals, and kids are smart. They're like puppy dogs, in a sense. Not to minimize your kids. I'm not saying your kids are dogs. Okay. Nobody get offended. Don't send me an email, but I'm just saying the reality is for all of us, if we are not consistent, if you're not consistent going to your job on time, you're going to get fired, but if the boss tells you, hey, if you do that again, you're going to get fired, and then you don't get fired, it's a lot easier for your flesh to say, oh, well, it doesn't matter, I'm running a few minutes late. So it's the same way with children. They are going to take cues from you. So that's so good. I love that. Love these C's. Y'all got that? 2, consistency. 1 time, 2, consistency. Wow,
exactly.
This is good.
Now let's move on to number 3.
Yes.
Consequence. Guys, you can't possibly expect to make your children happy 100% of the time, because you know what? Welcome to life when things don't always go your way, do they? So if you are actually setting your child up to believe that everything will go their way, you are setting them up for disaster.
Yes.
Why do people use alcohol? Why do they use drugs? Because they can't deal with disappointment. Yes. They can't deal with things not going their way, basically. So let's start exercising that disappointment muscle, exercising that waiting muscle. These are things that will create the adult that you hope your child to be. So consequence, let's have just 3 important things. Consequences need to be relatable. Okay, so basically, the punishment needs to fit the crime. So you're not going, so if your kid's not getting off their tablet, grounding them for a week has nothing to do with the tablet. What is that? What does it even do? People do it all the time.
It's not realistic.
I had a parent take the tablet and throw it in the garbage. Okay, well, that's a great idea, because you just spend however many hundreds of dollars on that tablet, and now you throw it in the garbage. Does not make sense, does not relate to the crime. Reasonable. There again, child doesn't get off the tablet, you ground them for a week. A little unreasonable, don't you think? So they should be reasonable. And the big one, it's there to reform. It's there to teach. A consequence is meant to teach. Let's go back to the tablet example. Your child doesn't get off their tablet. You're like, okay, honey, time to have dinner. Got 5 minutes, and then you need to put the tablet down. They don't put the tablet down. What is your response? You don't ask them 25 times and then start yelling. You walk over and say, okay, honey, well, you didn't put the tablet down. I'm taking the tablet for 24 hours. You'll get it back tomorrow.
Exactly.
And if you're consistent with that and do that 2 or 3 times in a row, you best believe your child's going to learn. If they don't put the tablet down, they're losing that tablet.
Right.
That is the purpose of a consequence. It should relate to what's happening. It should not be unreasonable and outrageous. And it should be something to teach your child to make better choices.
I love
That's
it.
back to think before we react. Same for your children. You want to teach your children to think before they react.
So good.
Keep that in mind. Kids need boundaries and limits. Guys, boundaries and limits show love.
Yes.
Ever talk to a child that doesn't have limits and they're out playing till 10 at night and they're 8 years old and their friends are like, how come you can stay out till 10 at night? And their reply is majority of the time, because nobody cares. And they may be saying that and you think, oh, well, they're just saying that. No, they believe nobody cares because nobody does. When you set boundary and limits for your child, you show them love and you show them that you care about what's going on with them.
So good. You know, these steps, these C's can apply even to marriages. I'm just sitting here going, this is so good. They need to review these when they're going into each landmark, like from elementary school to junior high, high school, college, and adulthood. All of us need these great tips. These are so good, Celia. So we've got calm, right? Everybody stay calm, right?
Breathe.
Then we've got what's two? How to break
consistency.
Because consistency is 3, right?
No, consistency is 2. Consequences.
Oh, okay. Consistency is 2. That's right. Super important, y'all. And then consequences. Listen, y'all know there are consequences in life. And if you don't learn them as a child, you won't be able to cope as an adult. So that's so good. So what do we got for 4?
So number 4 is communication. And there again, relationship. Because remember, the relationship you're having with your partner, your spouse, your significant other, whatever they call that nowadays, that communication is what your children are learning when they get old enough to have a relationship. So if you're cussing your special someone, you're calling them names, you're using, destructive behavior, you're teaching that child that that's what a relationship is. They're going to get into a relationship and assume that's how you treat somebody. When I try, I do a challenge on Facebook to stop people from yelling. And when I talk to these parents about why they yell, so many of them say, I don't know any other way to parent. So what you are doing as a parent is directly teaching your kids. Yes. So think about that. Look in the mirror. What do you need to change? Because this is the time to change it. Ooh, okay, so let's talk about communication. As you can see from Maggie and I, we smile when we talk. You can always hear a smile. Smiling when you talk is one of the best gifts you can give to your kids because it will keep them through life. If you have somebody applying for a job, wouldn't you like to have someone who comes in, they're confident, they're smiling, they're speaking respectfully? Would you want that person or the person that's like, okay, well, whatever, okay, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, no, nobody wants to be around grumpy puss.
Right.
So smile when you talk and you will indirectly teach your children to smile.
Yes.
Use your manners. People always go, how do I get my children to be well-mannered? And my first question is, do you use your manners? I have clients, I asked them when we started working together, I asked them because that was one of their concerns. And they said to me, well, we don't really use our manners because we've been married so long. Let me tell you, I was married to my first husband for 16 years. I'm married to my second husband, I'm pointing because he's out there, for 24 years. I always use my manners. And if I say something to him and I forget to say please, I add please.
Yes.
You don't outgrow using your manners. And if you don't use your manners, how can you possibly expect your children to be well-mannered? It's not going to happen. Well-mannered children come from well-mannered adults. That's right. So use your manners and make sure that when you're talking to your child, you simplify things. You don't just talk in general. You use simple directions. You don't just walk in and say, oh, how was school? Because you know what you got? Fine. Be specific. Who'd you eat lunch with? What did you do in science? What did you draw with in art? Were you painting? Be specific. Specific questions get specific answers.
Yes.
It will help you really draw out conversation with your kids. And I don't care how old they are, and speak positive. Speak, my daughter was in 10th grade, Maggie. She had an English teacher, and she came home and she said, you know what my Mrs. whoever was said to me today? And I'm like, what? She said that with all the beautiful words in the English language, why must we use the ugly ones? Because someone had said something. And I have never forgotten that. So honestly, guys, no matter what language you speak, there are many more beautiful words than there are ugly words. So with all the beautiful words in your language, please try not to use the ugly ones.
I love
because
that.
ugly words crush kids' spirits. Don't label them. Don't label them. That could be a whole podcast. Don't label your kids. Because they're going to live up to your expectations. And if your expectations is they're a liar, they're lazy, expect them to live up to that.
That's right. Power of life and death is in the tongue. When you speak that over your child, you're prophesying over their life, really.
You absolutely are. And it's been proven, guys. There has been brain science to prove that what you speak into life becomes life.
Yes.
It's not like, just, people who are, trying to empower other people. There's not just things they say. This is fact and proven.
Absolutely. Yes. That is a whole topic in itself. Each and every one of these really are.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important, y'all, that you share this with your friends, because these are valuable tools. And if you practice these, you're going to see a difference. You're going to see a change, so it's awesome. That's awesome. So communication was 4.
Right. So we got calm, consistency, consequence, communication. And 5 is the culture of your home. Mm-hmm. So are you spiritual? Are you fun? Are you having fun? Have fun. You know what? The biggest education for a child is play. Play more. Don't just think it has to be all this structured behavior and everything has to be about learning, educationally. Learning, and that doesn't make sense. Learning like through books and assignments and things like that. Play is the number one way for a toddler to learn. Yes. And what kid, as they get older, doesn't want to play?
Absolutely.
My grandkids were here for 2 weeks, I was telling you, Maggie, and we played games. I mean, there's only so much we could do because Corona Land has shut the world down. But, we would play games. I love playing games. And I didn't just say, oh, you guys go play. I sat on the floor with them and played. I just did a post about this today. Get on the floor and play with your children.
Yes.
Don't just watch. Don't be a bystander. Be with them and put this down.
Yes, and amen.
Go back to communication. Do not be talking to your child while scrolling and looking at your phone and your child's over here talking and you're looking at. Because you know what you're telling your kids? This
is more important
than you.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
So the culture of your home is kindness, part of your culture. Is responsibility part of your culture? A culture is just not like people talk about cultures of society and groups of people. Culture is created by a group of people, and culture can be changed by a group of people. It goes directly to the element that is in your home. Do you have a culture of chaos and yelling and screaming and abuse? Or do you have a culture of calm, cooperation, listening, happiness, fun, spirituality? Create the culture you want. And the environment in your house is going to be lots different. And family harmony will replace all the chaos.
Wow.
Those are your five C's.
Now, listen, y'all, I want you to go back and rewatch this broadcast. I really do, because those right there are game changers. And each and every one of those, we could do an entire podcast on. And Celia's full of wealth of knowledge on this stuff. And that's why I love getting with her. That iron sharpens iron, the GMAL. We're grandmas, okay? So when you're a grandma, you got knowledge you didn't have when you were raising your kid. And when you've spent as many years studying a specific topic like she has, I mean, she's a wealth of information. She is available for private coaching. She has resources available for you. At minimum, if you are looking for a great book whenever someone is, having a baby, even, get this book in your hand. She's going to hold it up again. Taming the Toddler. What's the sub? The Ultimate Parenting Manual. The Ultimate Parenting Manual. Okay. Because listen,
and it's set up like a manual. You can
search topics. That is. That thing is huge.
I wrote this. It's good.
It is amazing. There are so many resources available for you. So I want you to visit her Facebook page, and I want you to follow her. It's Pumped Up Parenting, right? Is that
Correct.
right?
Pumped Up Parenting.
Okay. And I want to
go to the group. There is a business page, but the group is where the action happens.
Now, is that a free group?
Yes.
Okay, y'all. Did you hear the word there? Free group?
For very intentional parents, but the Pumped Up Parenting group is a free group.
Excellent. That's where you can get started, and you get a firsthand view of what all she is doing with people, how it is changing the structure of family systems. Because listen, when we think about big corporations and successful corporations, they don't happen without being intentional. And I am all about families having mission and vision and passion and pouring that into their children, because that's how you get responsible, productive adults. And so you can find her on, her book can be purchased. Is it on Amazon?
Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
You can go to the pumpedupparenting.com website and click on book.
Okay. So one of the resources is www.tamingthetoddler.com. Now, if that doesn't make you want to stop, anybody that's got any kids, I'm just saying, that's so important. You know what? I think that I really need to carry some of these books so that when I'm in public places and I see out of control kids, I can walk up to them and say, God bless you. Because, I used to do that with the Beta Satan, a book on offense. People, they would come to the Lord and I'm like, here's your Bible and here's your book on offense, because it's going to happen really quick. So I think I need to add the Pumped Up Parenting, Taming Your Toddler. So, and there could have been some on that airplane that could have benefited from this. I told my granddaughter, I said, this is why we should have flown in to Tampa instead of Orlando. Yeah. Because you got Mickey's crew and there's a lot of children that go there. So, I'm just saying, and I'm not saying that in an insulting way. We've all had children. They've all acted out at different places and different times. But if you want to be intentional, like she said, if you want to be involved, if you want to cultivate in your child a successful future, you've got to give them those 5 C's and more. And what's super exciting is that Celia's going to come back in September. And she's going to share with us about how to get yourself from yelling at your children. Is that right?
Correct.
Talk on that about
you have to stop yelling at your kids, because I'm on a mission to stop 1 million parents from yelling at their kids.
That's awesome.
I want to teach all you guys, because you know what? You can do it.
Yes.
You have the ability to stop yelling at your kids. And it can be done easily, but you have to put in those 5 C's. You have to stay consistent. You've got to be consistent with what I'm teaching you and intentional, because that's the only way it's going to work. And if you're challenged, guys, remember, it is actually no shame to reach out for help.
Yes.
For personal development, to reach to Maggie, to reach for me. If you are parenting and you really are at a stopping point where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Admit that, because these are the most valuable resources we have, our children.
Yes.
God gave us kids to keep the earth going, to keep our planet, procreating. Is that correct? Yes. And, to keep moving forward and get better and better. But if we're not intentional with the way we parent our kids and we don't get the help we need, you're doing your children a disservice, and they're going to grow up struggling and not knowing how to, be a contributing adult for society. And
So
that's going to
true.
affect generations to come because every generation learns from the last.
That's so true. Celia, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here today. I'm so pumped up, no pun intended, pumped up about the parenting that I can't wait for our broadcast in September. It has been a joy, and I want to thank you for being here today. And I know that those of you watching this, you'll want to get this out to your friends, family, coworkers, anyone who wants to hear about how to be intentional with your child. Reach out to Celia. She's got a great website, great resources. We'll see you all next time. Thank you so much for being on the broadcast.